Cron Manager. It is important that you understand that you need to set up the cron on your server first. The cron manager does exactly that, manages the cron. However, you still need to set up the main cron on your server first. To do so, add the following line to your cron. Note, you will need to change the structure to match your own setup. It needs to run every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month. So, the command is as follows: php/home/admin/web/domain.com/public_html/cT/admin/cron.php >HTML/web/html/ct/logs/site_cron.log 2 <1. In some situations, the way your PHP is set up, you may need to change the PHP to match your setup, but PHP works on most servers. Opening. Welcome to the Cron Manager. This is the control center for every scheduled job that keeps your ComusThumbz site running. Video processing, creator media, live cam syncing, billing renewals, email delivery, sitemap generation, and a few dozen other background tasks. From this single page, you can see what's running, turn jobs on or off, change how often they run, get alerts when something fails, and review what happened over the last 24 hours. To open it, log into your admin panel and navigate to domain.com/ct/admin/cron_manager.php, or from the admin menu bar, click the settings and choose Cron Manager. When the page loads, you'll see a green gradient banner across the top with the page title and a breadcrumb showing where you are in the admin. Below that, 6 summary stat cards in a row, then a tabbed interface that holds the bulk of the controls. There are 5 tabs across the top: Dashboard, All Tasks, Schedule View, Execution History, and Settings. We'll walk through each one. The Stats Grid. Before we dive into the tabs, take a moment to read the stats row at the top. There are 6 cards, each with a colored left edge. The first card shows total tasks, the count of every cron job defined in the system. As of this build, that's around 30 individual scheduled tasks. The second card, with a green edge, shows enabled. How many of those tasks are actively running on their schedules? By default, every task is enabled until you turn it off. The third card, with a yellow edge, shows disabled, tasks you've explicitly turned off. These won't run until you enable them again. The fourth card, with a red edge, shows critical, tasks tagged as essential to the platform. Right now there are 3: the main video processor, the billing processor, and the email queue processor. Disabling any of these will break a core part of the site, so the page warns you when you toggle them. The fifth card, with a green edge, shows successes in the last 24 hours. The count of successful executions parsed from your site cron log files. The sixth card shows failures in the last 24 hours. If any task errored out, the card switches to a red edge as a visual alarm. A glance at this number first thing in the morning is the fastest health check for your scheduled jobs. Dashboard. The Dashboard tab is the default landing view. It groups every cron task by feature area so you can manage related jobs together. You'll see 10 color-coded group panels stacked vertically. Each one starts with a colored header bar showing the group icon, the group name, a count like 5 of 5 enabled in faded text, and on the right, 2 buttons, Enable All and Disable All. The groups in order are Video Processing in blue, Storage in purple, Creators in pink, Live Cams in red, Billing in orange, System Maintenance in gray, Conversion Servers in green, YTDLP Downloads in bright red, Streamlink Recording in purple, and Video Import in orange. Below each group header is a grid of task cards, 1 card per scheduled job in that group. Each card shows the task name in bold at the top, with 2 badges that may appear next to it: a red critical badge if the task is essential, and a green recommended badge if the task is suggested for most installs. On the right side of the card is a green toggle switch. Flip it to enable or disable that task instantly. Below the title is a 1-paragraph description explaining what the task does. Below that is a meta line with three small icons: a clock showing the current schedule, a code file icon showing the script file name, and if you've overridden the default schedule, an orange edit icon labeled Custom Schedule. At the bottom of every card is a gray Configure button. Clicking it opens the Task Configuration modal. We'll cover that in a moment. The Enable All and Disable All buttons in each group header lets you toggle an entire feature area at once. For example, if you don't use the Live Cams feature, click Disable All on the Live Cams group and every cam-related cron, the API sync, the stats cache, the performer schedule cleanup, turns off in one click. A word of caution: if you flip off a critical task in this view, the toggle switch goes through, but you've just disabled something the platform depends on. Watch the stats row at the top. The disabled count goes up, and you should expect symptoms within a few minutes. Re-enable it if anything stops working. The Task Configuration modal. This pop-up window opens anytime you click a Configure button, either from a dashboard card or from the All Tasks table. It's the single place where you fine-tune one specific task. The modal has a green header bar with the task name and an X button in the corner to close it. Below the header is the full task description. Below that is a yellow impact warning panel. Read this before changing anything. It explains exactly what will break if you disable this particular task. For example, the video processor's impact line tells you, disabling this will stop all video processing. Uploaded videos will remain in pending status and won't be playable on the site. Take that seriously. Below the impact warning are three controls. First, an enabled checkbox. Uncheck it to turn the task off. Help text below explains that disabling pauses execution, but does not delete the task definition. Second, a schedule dropdown. This is where you override how often the task runs. The dropdown lists every supported schedule. Every minute, every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 30 minutes, every hour. Daily at 1 a.m., daily at 2 a.m., daily at 3 a.m., daily at 4 a.m., daily at 4:30 a.m., daily at 5 a.m., daily at 9 a.m., weekly on Sunday at 3 a.m., and disabled. As you change the dropdown, the help text below updates with a description of that frequency. For example, runs every 5 minutes. Good balance of frequency and resource usage. Third, a default schedule reference panel. This shows what the task ships with so you can compare against the override you're choosing. Below it is a Reset to Default button. One click reverts the schedule back to whatever the developer originally specified. At the bottom of the modal are two buttons, a gray Cancel button that closes without saving, and a green Save Changes button that writes your override to the database. The change takes effect on the next cron tick, usually within a minute. All Tasks, click the All Tasks tab. This view is for when you want to see everything at a glance, sorted and filtered into a table. At the top of the tab is a filter bar with three drop-downs. The first filters by feature group. Choose video processing, live cams, billing, and so on, or leave it blank to see all groups. The second filters by status, enabled, disabled, or all. The third filters by schedule. Pick every minute to see only the most frequent jobs, or daily at 3 a.m. to see your nightly maintenance jobs. The filters work together, so you can combine them. For instance, show only disabled tasks in the system group. Below the filters is the task table itself with 6 columns. Status, a small toggle switch for instant enable or disable. Task name, the human readable name in bold with the critical badge if applicable, and the internal task ID in muted text underneath. The task ID is what gets logged in the site cron log file, so it's handy for debugging. Group, the feature group name in its assigned color, with the group icon next to it. Schedule, the current frequency. If you've overridden the default, an orange custom label appears beneath it. File, the script file name in monospace like video_processor.php or billing/process_schedule.php. Actions, a small gear icon button that opens the configure modal for that row. The table is your bulk audit view. If you're trying to figure out which jobs run every minute and might be hammering your server, set the schedule filter to every minute and see them all in one list. If you're hunting for tasks that have been disabled and forgotten, set Status to Disabled and review what's there. Schedule View. Click the Schedule View tab. This is a visual 24-hour timeline showing when each enabled task is scheduled to run. It's the fastest way to spot scheduling conflicts. Moments where 5 or 6 heavy jobs are all firing at the same time. At the top is a header row with the label Task on the left and 24-hour columns numbered 00 through 23 across the right. Below the header, every enabled task gets its own row. The task name sits on the left, and on the right, 24 small slots represent the hours of the day. A solid green slot means the task fires during that hour. A diagonally striped green slot means the task fires every minute during that hour. A special pattern reserved for the most frequent jobs like the video processor and the FTP video processor. Disabled tasks don't appear here at all since they're not running. Below the timeline is a small legend explaining the 2 color states. Use this view to find natural windows when nothing is scheduled and to verify that your daily maintenance jobs are spread out. By default, the platform staggers most daily jobs between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. to keep them out of business hours. If you've customized schedules and accidentally stacked too many at, say, 3 a.m., you'll see it here as a vertical column of green blocks, and you can go back to the dashboard or All Tasks tab and shift 1 or 2 to a different hour. Execution History. Click the Execution History tab. This view is a live readout of what's been happening, pulled directly from your site Cron log files for today and yesterday. The page loads with a heading at the top, a subline telling you how many entries it found, and a table with 3 columns: timestamp, level, and message. Timestamp shows the exact moment the entry was logged in year, month, day, hour, minute, second format. Level is one of 3 colored badges: green success for a clean run, yellow warning for soft issues, or red error for a failure. Failures are what you care about. Anything in red on this page is a job that didn't complete. Message is the human-readable log line. A successful entry typically reads something like task video underscore processor underscore every underscore minute completed successfully in 2.34 seconds. A failed entry contains the error message thrown by the task, which is your starting point for debugging. The list is capped at the most recent 100 entries. If the page shows an empty state, a large inbox icon with text saying no executions have been recorded yet, that usually means one of 2 things. Either site cron.php hasn't run yet, or its log file isn't where this page is looking. The expected location is your ct/logs folder with daily files named site_cron_, followed by the date in year, month, day format in a .log extension. If the history is empty and you've already configured the master Cron entry on the server, double-check that the user running Cron has write permission to the logs folder. Settings. The final tab is Settings. This is where you configure global behavior that affects every task: alert routing, failure detection, and the master Cron command itself. The first section is the alert configuration form. Alert email is the address that receives notifications when a job fails or stalls. Enter a single email address. Help text below explains that this is the destination for Cron failure alerts. Alert triggers gives you 2 checkboxes. Alert on failure sends an email anytime a task throws an error. Alert on timeout sends an email anytime a task runs longer than your timeout threshold. Most installs leave both checked. Timeout threshold is the number of seconds a task can run before it's considered stuck. The default is 300 seconds, 5 minutes, which is appropriate for most jobs. If you have a long-running task, like a large sitemap generation that legitimately takes 10 minutes, raise this to 600 or higher to avoid false positives. The minimum you can set is 60 seconds, and the maximum is 3,600 seconds, or 1 hour. Click the green Save Settings button at the bottom of the form to persist your changes. Below the form is a horizontal divider, and below that is the Cron Status Reference panel. This is information, not editable. It tells you the master Cron script, site_cron.php, which is the single PHP file your operating system's cron daemon should call once a minute. It tells you the absolute file system path to that script. It tells you the absolute path to the logs folder. And finally, in a dark code block, it gives you the exact cron tab line to paste on your server. The line looks like this: asterisk, 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 space P, HP space, then the full path to site underscore cron.php, redirecting output to a dated log file in your logs folder. Copy that line, SSH, into your server, run crontab-e, paste it in, and save. From that point on, your operating system fires site cron once a minute. Site cron checks the TBL, cron settings table to see which tasks are due, and runs the ones that are. How it all fits together. Quickly, the architecture. There is one entry point in your operating system's cron tab, a single line that runs site underscore cron.php every minute. That master script reads the TBL cron settings table, which is what this cron manager page writes to. For each task, it checks whether the task is enabled, what schedule it should run on, and whether the current minute matches that schedule. If everything lines up, it executes the task script and writes a log line to the daily site cron log. Everything you see on this admin page, toggles, schedule overrides, alert settings, and so on, is just a friendly interface on top of two database tables: TBL cron settings for per task configuration and TBL video settings for the global cron values. You never need to edit those tables by hand. A few practical tips. After a fresh install, walk through the dashboard and disable feature groups you're not using. For example, if you don't have a creator program, disable the creators group. If you don't use live cams, disable live cams. This keeps your server from doing unnecessary work every minute. Add an alert email in the settings tab so you find out about failures even when you're not watching the dashboard. And once a week, glance at the execution history tab to make sure the failures in 24 hours stat stays at 0. Closing. That's the cron manager. 5 tabs: dashboard, all tasks, schedule view, execution history, and settings, and one modal for fine-tuning. Combined with the master cron entry on your server, this page gives you complete control over every background job ComusThumbz runs. Set it up once, check it weekly, and your platform will keep itself running.